Hey, what's up? We're live for that Panther with another Path of Exile video, and in today's video we're going to talk about our league starter, our probable league starter. I think we're like 98% sure it's going to be this. It's Bladestorm of Uncertainty. It's a classic bleed glad build. We've got this lighthouse map here, and I'm level 89. I don't have a couple of skill points allocated, and there's a few things. There's a few things that I have not taken on the tree as well. So what I'm about to show you is not the super optimized version, but the optimized version I do have here in a build guide for you. And there's, they've got all the skills and items. And there's a notes section. Please check the notes section because it tells you lots and lots of stuff about how the build works. And I've got these loadouts for every single part of the build as well, with a very, very detailed guide on how to run it or how to get through the campaign. And basically you're just gonna charge around and then Bladestorm, do a Bladestorm, and everything dies. Like everything sort of pops, because we've got these Gladiator bleed pops. So there's everything that bleeding enemies that we kill have I think it's a 10% chance, or they explode for 10% of their life as fizz damage, something like that. So it's really, really strong for clear. It's like, as a league starter, it's so cheap too. I'm not going to hang around and do the entire unique strongbox, but you can just zoom through the campaign here. I've got I think I've got like 3 or 4 movement skills here, but it's really, really easy to just zoom through, and the campaign is really, really nice and smooth. The Endgame stuff is really, really nice too. There's a lot of siege axes here, and there's actually 2 bosses here. I think we had the double bosses, so you can see this T16 map boss here, and then the other one over here. And this is on really, really pretty terrible gear. I mean, we've got a 6-link. I think that's the biggest investment, apart from maybe our Jack the Axe, which is the biggest, I would say the most expensive part of the build. You can do this build with really, really, really terrible gear. So now that the boss is dead, we can just leave this Forbidden Tome here on the ground for somebody else to find. And let's talk about the build. So let's talk about our gear to start off with. So this is the endgame version of the build, and it's endgame in inverted commas. So we've got Jack the Axe. This is, I think this last league was like around, it was a little bit less than a Divine at the beginning of Settlers. So that's what you can expect to pay. And the rest is, we've got the Belt of the Deceiver, which is a 3 Chaos unique. We've got Lion Eyes Remorse, which is a 3 Chaos unique. And then we just got rare stuff. And it's not, I've got 112 maximum life. I think it's tier 6 life. You could have way more than this. I've got T1 Chaos Rare. I basically just threw, I think, 2 Chaos Essences on this, and that's what we ended up with. For our gloves, I have Suppress spell damage, but I think it's the only Suppress that we've got on the entire build. We've got 124 life, some fire. We got quite a lot of resistances on the gloves, to be honest. But then on the boots, it's just move speed, life, resistance. On the rings, it's just life, resistances. I don't actually have life on this ring at all, but there's dexterity, which is just as good. And then on our amulet, we've just got a little bit of life, some chaos rares, and acrimony, which is our anoint. And then that's it. There are jewel spots as well in the tree that you can take as well. So if you can get some flex spots, you can get increased damage because you can have dot multi on there. You can get extra % increased life, that kind of stuff. We're sitting pretty at 4.5k life without our reserved aura, which is Thirst for Blood, which is something you get from Jack the Axe. So this is inherent to the item. And apart from that, we're using Pride and Eternal Blessing over here. So enemies take more fizz damage the longer they're in the Bladestorms. And basically Bladestorm is just a spinning attack that means that the people around you take a lot of bleeding damage. So this is a bleed build. We're doing a lot of bleed damage. Our flasks are nothing special. We got armor on the silver flask. You would put it on the armor flask ideally, but then we've got move speed on the move speed flask. We've got reduced effective curses on the jade flask, and then we've got again move speed on the granite flask. And then our Divine Life Flask is just off quashing because this build is freeze immune through the Pantheon. So through the upgraded Brine King Pantheon. But we're not shock immune and we're not ignite immune. So you could take either shock or ignite on the Life Flask, and then you can, you have a way around it. We're also taking blood magic. You may notice I have 0 mana, and that means that all of our mana or all of our skills use life instead, but we get a ton of extra life. So let's just go through the POB piece by piece and we'll talk about the whole thing. So you're gonna pop off the beach and we're gonna take Spectral Throw. So the Act 1 is done with Spectral Throw. You come off the beach with, I think it's Double Strike and Chance to Bleed. So we're just going to throw Chance to Bleed in. We're going to buy Spectral Throw. That's 1 Wisdom Scroll from Nessa. We're just going to take that and then volley when we can. You get offered this. It's in the notes section. So read the notes section. But it's in the notes section. So we see that we get volley given to us. We're going to take, and this is green, green, red. So that's our main link. Then we're going to go for Leap Slam. Leap Slam with faster attacks and momentum. This is the order. I've always put these in the order of importance that they should be. So Leap Slam is the top because Leap Slam is really, really fast movement skill. It's really good. Then faster attacks makes it faster to attack and do the leaping. And momentum is great to have. And if you can't get another green, green, red, don't worry about it. Just get a green, red and Leap Slam and faster attacks. And these 2 gems are things you get offered as well from the vendor. So you get offered for quest rewards. And then putting these 2 things here wherever you can take them. So Frostblink and Decoy Totem. And Frostblink is just a nice move skill. You can also animation cancel your Leap Slam. So you do the Leap Slam and then at the very end of it, you Frostblink and then you'll get an extra little bit of movement out of it. And Decoy Totem, just so that you can put your totem down and all the enemies will attack that instead of you, which is super useful. And for our items in Act 1, really, really easy stuff here. We're just going for a stone axe. And ideally, you get it with increased physical damage. So in Act 1, we're using Spectral Throw. And then for the rest of the campaign, we're using Sunder. And Sunder's really good. It's really strong. I've killed Kitava on a 3-link Sunder before, and it was not that bad. But all your damage stems from your axe. So you want a high quantity of physical damage on your axe. All of the damage in this build comes from physical damage on the axe. So make sure you have a high amount of physical damage on the axe. And this heavy stone axe, this is just a % increased physical damage. I believe the % increased physical damage crafting bench option is, I think, either 4. Maybe the first one is 4 alterations. But you don't get that to level till Act 3. I think in the sewers after you've done the quest with Lady Diala. So in the meantime, just always try and upgrade your axe, and ideally don't put any gems in there, or because it's going to be difficult to swap it out for a higher damage one if you have stuff in there. I always find boots and axe. I want to try and keep as few things in as possible, because then I'm not going to be regretting it when I get a new pair of movement speed boots and I can't put them on because I can't put Frostblink anywhere or I can't put Leap Slam anywhere. So ideally keep those things away from there, but your axe, you just want to keep upgrading it. If you can get a heavy stone axe, you're not even going to notice the first act. There is a vendor recipe to get % increased physical damage on melee weapons, and I think it's a Rustic Sash plus a Blacksmith Whetstone plus a melee weapon. And Blacksmith Whetstones are rare. They're not that common in the campaign. I usually find that I get 5 of them in the first lab and then never again. So if you find them and you have an amazing axe, then you can use it on the axe and you'll get even more fizz damage. But physical damage, because we take lots of physical damage points on the tree, it's super important that we have high fizz damage on our axe. If you have, say, one axe with high fizz damage and one with high lightning and cold damage, the fizz damage one is probably still going to be doing more damage. So taking a high fizz damage axe is really, really important. So keep upgrading your axe. If you can use the vendor recipe, do. If you, I find and identify all of the ones I can. I have a loot filter specific to this build, and I'll put the link to that in the description below so that you can use it. You can follow it on my profile. For the other equipment that we want in Act 1, the only thing we actually have to take is a Lapis Amulet, and that's because we're not that smart, and we want to use Frostblink. And a Lapis Amulet, it costs 1 transmute from Nessa, and it means that you can then equip Frostblink. Now, you do not want to level Frostblink, because then the attribute requirement goes up. But if you take a Lapis Amulet, then you're going to be fine. When you meet Diala in Act 3, then she will offer you a rare Lapis Amulet. Take that, because it's just going to be better than the one you're wearing. If you have a lot of Wisdom Scrolls left over during Act 1, get an Iron Ring. These are really, really good flat damage. You see here, I mean, I've got not much in the way of gear, but taking this off is actually 7% less damage. So Iron Rings are 3 Wisdom Scrolls each. A Rustic Sash you can buy as well, and this is as a fair chunk of damage as well, another 10%. So these are the only things you really need. Just take what you can from the vendor. I've got a regex for the vendor in here as well, which should highlight triple red, green green red, and red green items, along with 4 links to and runner's boots, so boots with movement speed on them. So this is basically all you need for the entire campaign. This regex is very useful, so you can just chuck that in, and then now, due to the patch notes, you actually can keep that in the vendor, which is super useful. So this is what Act 1 looks like. We just come straight down here. See this one? I also take this starting one here as well. So you can come down here, just take these fizz damage nodes to here, and then you get Destroyer, and around this time, this is when you're going to hit Brutus, and then you take Bravery, and then you can come over here to Art of the Gladiator. By the time you hit Merveil, this is going to be around level 12, and then you ignore all movement penalties from armor. Is really nice to get. You get a lot of attack speed and accuracy as well. So this is what we look like for the first act. Then Act 2, we actually come and take this mana wheel. I would take this martial experience first with this, the 40% increased damage with hits against rare and unique enemies, because this is just, we're front loading a lot of damage here. But this mana mastery, regenerate 5 mana per second. This is really nice. You start to realize you don't need a mana flask at this point. So early on, you do not need the mana flask. Oh, Leap Slam also that we get in Act 1. We want to keep that at level 1 too, because we don't benefit from any of there's nothing in the higher levels of Leap Slam that actually benefits us other than it causes increased mana cost. And we want to be Leap Slamming around very fast, so keep Leap Slam unleveled. So at this point, after we kill Merveil, or once we've gone into the Caverns of Wrath, maybe before we kill Merveil, we do want to go and buy Sunder from Nessa, and that costs 1 transmute, and that's going to be what we use for the entire rest of the campaign. And we're going to keep Chance to Bleed on it. It's it's a very strong bleed build. We're going to take melee physical damage. This is what you get from killing the Weaver, and you can get this from Silk. Leap Slam, again, just faster attacks and momentum, and then put these wherever you have the space. Frostblink, Decoy Totem, and once we've done the Chamber of Sins, you kill Malagaro. Is it Malagaro? Yeah, it's probably Malagaro. It's not Malagaro, but you go to the Chamber of Sins. We're going to take Blood Rage from the vendor when we get offered the rewards, and then we're going to take Herald of Ash. We're going to buy Herald of Ash and Herald of Purity. So you can equip these at level 16, and Blood Rage means you just attack faster, which is really good because then you Leap Slam faster, so you can jump through the campaign faster. It also gives you a chance to get Frenzy Charges as well. There is it does cause you physical damage over time, and we ameliorate that with some of the passive choices later on. But then we've got Herald of Ash and Herald of Purity. Herald of Ash is just straight up damage, and Herald of Purity has all these Sentinels of Purity that you generate, and they're really useful for keeping enemies off you. When it comes to items, the only thing we've changed is the type of axe. Remember, upgrade your axe today. So do the axe, and then we go straight into Act 3 from there. So you go off to kill the Val Oversoul. And we're just going to come over here and take this two-handed mastery. This attacks with two-handed weapons deal 60% increased damage with hits and ailments, but you get 10% reduced attack speed. Now I take this this small point here, this one, 4% increased attack speed, to try and mitigate that a little bit. And if you count this one as well, this other attack speed node, then this one and this mastery is 60% increased damage with hits and ailments for 3 points, with no downside. And you get a little bit of accuracy as well. So that's a really strong node. I didn't used to take it before, but it's really, really good. We're also going to take some bleed chance over here because it's a bleed build and we want to, bleed is very strong. And then we're going to come down here to Golem's Blood, and this is in Act 3. So you're going to take Golem's Blood, regenerate 1.6% of life per second, and you get 10% increased max life. This pretty much completely mitigates the life loss from Blood Rage if we just go to the loadout section here in Act 3. So now with Sunder, we've got Chance to Bleed, we've got Melee Fizz, and Ruthless. Now, Ruthless you should have bought in Act 1, and I should have mentioned that when we were talking about Act 1. In Act 1, there's an offhand leveling, I believe. Yeah, in Act 2, there's an offhand leveling section here. So Ruthless is something you can buy from Nessa in Act 1. And you can then chuck it in here. And that gives you every third strike with a slam or a strike skill deals 83% more melee damage, which is insane. So, but then, it's divided by 3 on average. It's a lot of damage. And Act 3 is, you may notice we got a 4 link here. Now, they said in the reveal trailer that we were going to be able to access the black market pretty much instantly. And Act 3, I think it's level 24 is when you can then start gambling for 4 links. And that's a perfect time. So once you hit the docks in Act 3, you can just go around the docks once, get a bunch of XP, get a bunch of gold, and then go and visit whichever vendor it is. I'm not sure which. They didn't say which NPC it was in every town, but I'm assuming it's going to be somebody in Act 3. Go and talk to them and try and fish for a 4 link red, because that way you're going to be able to absolutely be able to chuck in this 4th slot here. And Leap Slam again, the same. It just Leap Slam, faster attacks, momentum, and then Frostblink, Decoy Totem, Blood Rage, Vulnerability we take during Act 3 as well, and we throw out Herald of Ash and put in Pride. And Vulnerability and Pride, these are things that you get in Act 3. Items again, the same. Just upgrade your axe. Upgrade your axe. And then once we do that, we go into the Act 4 loadout. And over here, we're just taking this extra life node here, 6% increase extra life, and then this big bleed wheel here. And this is a really, really nice bleed wheel. So you'll find you're doing a lot more damage with bleed once you take this, when you're in Act 4. Then also in Act 4, basically everything is pretty much the same. The gems don't really change much at this point. But we've upgraded our axe. Don't forget, upgrade your axe, upgrade your axe. Then once we come to Act 5, we change the loadout over here. We come along here and we take all these dex nodes. It's a lot of dex nodes, and I understand it's a lot of travel nodes. It is, and it's worth it. We do eventually start using all of these points, but over here we can take the Hatchet Master, which gives us a chance to gain Onslaught for 4 seconds on kill, which is very strong. And then we also can gain 2 rage on hit with axes, which is just so good. It's so comfy getting all that rage. You start attacking really, really fast. So that's all we're doing in Act 5, is just taking that. Once I believe that's the end of the changes to the skills as well. I'm not sure why Added Chaos is in here. So I'll change that later. But yeah, so for Sunder, we should still have Melee Fizz here. And then Leap Slam is the same, and then keep these. And this is basically what it looks like until the end as far as skills are concerned. We also, in our offhand leveling, we're taking Bladestorm in Act 3, and we're taking Eternal Blessing in Act 4. And you can get Bladestorm from Maramoa once you've done General Gravicius, and then just put that in a whatever socketed item in your offhand and start leveling Bladestorm up. And Eternal Blessing you can buy from Petrus and Virginia after you've killed Malachi. And this costs an alk. It's quite expensive. If you can't buy it, that's fine. Don't worry about it. But if you can, then do. Because you can start leveling it up straight away, and we're going to be using it later. So, again, the items haven't changed. Just upgrade your axe. Upgrade your axe. Also, around Act 3, I usually do it in Act 4, but we're going to take our first Ascendancy, which is straight into into Gladiator, and we're taking Gratuitous Violence, which is bleeding enemies you kill explode, dealing 20% of their maximum life as physical damage, like I said earlier. I got the percentage wrong though. So, obviously it's important that everything we are hitting is bleeding, because then it's going to explode, and 20% of fizz damage is, or 20% of their life as fizz damage is a lot. So, this is how we're taking it, and every time you go to the lab, when you get to the divine font at the end, throw in Bladestorm and hope that you get Bladestorm of Uncertainty. There's, I think, 32 red transmuted gems. So if you put your Bladestorm in, it's and 5 of those are level 34, so you can't get those in normal lab. So the first time you go, you have a sort of 1 in 9 chance to be able to get a Bladestorm of Uncertainty. If you don't get it the first time, like there's a, when you put it in and it comes up with 1, 2, 3, those the 3 things, there's a little X in the corner, and you can, if none of them are Bladestorm of Uncertainty, or you don't want to take any of them, you can click the X and you get the gem back. It doesn't, like, you don't have to select one of them. So just remember, you can just select not to take the gem. And then, the next time once you go to Cruel Lab, then go and put your gem in again and hope for another Bladestorm, or hope for a Bladestorm of Uncertainty, or if you're, when you're doing a Merc Lab. And the chances are pretty good each time. We've done, I think, around 30 Act 10 runs with this, and we get Bladestorm of Uncertainty, I would say more than 1 in 10, maybe we've been a bit lucky, but we get it fairly regularly. So it's likely that by the time that you get to maps, you will have Bladestorm of Uncertainty. You can just buy it if you don't have it, or you could just keep running Merc Lab, or just normal lab, because it's going to be easier. So there are options for you, but every time you go to the lab, chuck in your Bladestorm and hope you get Bladestorm of Uncertainty. If you do, then the next time you can transfigure something else, maybe for money. We do a blue gem. So once we're out of Act 5, we kill Kitava, we wash up on the beach again, or we sail off with Lily. We're going to just take this life wheel over here. And then, the gems haven't changed. The only thing that's changed in the items is, you guessed it, upgraded axe. And then for Act 7, we're going to come up here and we're going to take Slaughter, which gives us another rage on hit with axes. So we're getting 3 rage on hit, which is really, really strong. And then we've got 30% increased damage while in Blood Stance as our axe mastery. And you might be thinking, but we don't use Blood and Sand. It doesn't matter, because you're by default always in Blood Stance. And when you wake up on the beach, and you're level 1, you're currently in Blood Stance. So by default, you are in Blood Stance. So this is just a 30% damage node for us. It's really useful. Then we're going to take Act 8, which is come over here. We take Juggernaut, and this is just a bit of extra armor, a bit of extra life. Barbarism over here, it's like more life, max fire res, and we're going to take Resolute Technique. We have a bit of an accuracy issue with the build. Early on, you can take precision if you want, but you can also just come to Resolute Technique, and then your hits can't be evaded, and that solves accuracy completely. So once we've gone up this way, and again, you may think like there's a lot of travel nodes here. I promise we do use them all in the end. So you've gone to Act 8, you're into Act 9 now. We're going to take Cloth and Chain over here, because these 2 points are 16% elemental resistance. Very, very good. Just for 2 points, 16 Ores is fantastic. We're also going to be taking Savage Wounds, coming around here to make sure we've got enough, we've got the attacks have chance to cause bleeding. You should have close to 100% chance to cause bleeding every hit. If you don't, if you have too much chance to cause bleeding, I'm not sure why you would, but if you have too much, then you can just take this bleeding you inflict deals 5% quicker damage node. There's a lot of flex spots in this build, and how you figure out bleeding is one of them. If you just stick to exactly what I've shown you here, then you'll be fine. And then Act 10, we're coming up here, we're taking Soul of Steel, so we get a couple bits more elemental resistance here, and then there's a mastery here as well, +1 to maximum elemental resistances if equipped. Helmet, body armor, gloves, and boots all have armor, and that's very, very useful. We're also going to take this Dirty Techniques wheel over here. So this is damaging ailments, deal damage 15% faster, and the 2 nodes leading up to it are 5% each. So it's 25% increased speed of damage that we deal with ailments. So this is what it looks like once you've killed Kitava in Act 10. And then when it comes to early maps, around Act 10, this is when you want to start, Act 9 and Act 10, this is when you want to keep an eye out for a good one-handed axe and a good shield. Probably an armor-based shield. And the reason for that is we're going to do a swap. Now, the swap costs 21 points. This is what we're swapping into. So I can do a compare here. So we compare it to Act 10. So the swap costs 21 points, and you get 20 from the campaign. So it's going to cost you 1 Orb of Regret, a single Orb of Regret. And we're just going to take these strength nodes here, and we're going to unspec all these here. And we're going to take this Defiance over here. So we're going to get a lot of attack and block damage, attack damage, and a lot of chance to block. We're going to remove these two-handed stuff over here. We're going to take these endurance charges over here as well. So we get a ton of endurance charges. We get 100% increased charge duration as well. And then we got another a jewel slot here. We're coming up here taking deflection, and we're taking the block mastery for deflection, where you gain life when you block and mana when you block. We're taking the other side of the bleed wheel. So we're actually unspecking the chance to cause bleeding, and we're taking this side of the bleed wheel here, and we're taking a 3% damage over time multiplier for bleeding per endurance charge, which is very strong. We're unspecking the mana stuff, and we're unspecking this bleed wheel here, and this two-handed stuff, this two-handed stuff over here, and we're taking prismatic skin over here. So we've got +2 to all maximum elemental resistances. Remember, we've got this one over here as well. And we're going to take corrupted blood cannot be inflicted on you. Then we're going to take blood magic. And so this removes all the mana, gives us 10% more, not increased, but more maximum life. And then the skills cost life instead of mana, and skills reserve life instead of mana. And then down here we're going to take the bleeding wheel as well. And up here we're going to take the endurance charge. And this puts us, this is early mapping. So you can go through, you can start doing maps T1 to T5 very easily with the two-handed stuff, and just start like getting the gear or trying to find the gear. But around level 75, this is where it's very, very comfy to be. So you're going to have 4 endurance charges. You're going to be getting, you've got 4 frenzy charges. You're going to be getting frenzy charges from Blood Rage. You're going to be getting, all the endurance charges are really good. Around, if I just take the loadout here, then you can see our fire resistance is 80%, our cold resistance is 80%, our lightning resistance is 79%. Our chaos is 23, which is still very good, and we're using Bladestorm of Uncertainty now. And our EHP is around 38k, which is better than mirror tier bow builds a lot of the time. But we're just going to have a look at our skills now. So Bladestorm of Uncertainty, you won't have a 6-link by the time you hit early maps. Or maybe you do. Good job. But you probably will only have a 4-link, and maybe you'll have a 5-link if you're really lucky. We're still doing 350k DPS, which is very, very respectable with a 5-link, and 275k with just a 4-link. So when you get a 4-link, if you come out of the campaign, you've still only got a 4-link, it's fine. And then after a while, you can start adding in Swift Affliction, which gives you much more damage over time. And then you can also get Deadly Ailments as well, which gives us more damage with ailments, but less damage with hits. So you can hit stuff less hard. And it's still, it packs the punch. So we're at 500,000 damage with a 6-link, and the rest of the skills, we're also changing into shield charge instead of leap slam, because shield charge is very, very fast. I put culling strike in here because if you're doing a boss, then you can just culling strike them very easily by charging them. We've got more duration attached to Blood Rage and Decoy Totem. Honestly, you could probably drop Decoy Totem at this point. I don't really use it after the campaign. We've got Pride and Eternal Blessing. Remember I said we're going to use Eternal Blessing and Pride later. This is later. So you can have one blessing which acts upon you, and we're going to be taking Pride. So that means basically a free aura, but you can only have one. So we're taking Pride, and that, it's more physical damage for people in our area. We're taking Frostblink, we still got, and it should still be level 1 as well, because otherwise the intelligence is too much for us. We're not that smart. We've got vulnerability and more duration, and also cast when damage taken with Molten Shell. Now I have the Molten Shell at level 7 and cast when damage taken at level 1. That way it triggers fairly frequently, but this is a really nice defensive option. We've also got Urgent Orders and Enduring Cry. And again, we actually have, there's 3 spots free here. We're not full on links. So you've got another spot in the boots, and in the gloves there's just 2 spots free as well. I've been messing around with stuff like Mark on Hit and Poacher's Mark, that kind of thing. There's lots of options here available to you, but you could just take this and it's great. When it comes to items for our swap, we've got nothing amazing here. We've got a fairly decent Fizz damage Reaver Axe with attack speed on it. That's it. It's 2 mods. It's 2 mods, and this is it's very, very decent. We've got a Colossal Tower Shield with some life, cold and chaos res, and that's basically all we're doing is life, resistance, chaos resistance. That's it. That's it. All of these items are basically the same. I think the hat, we got some intelligence in. We probably don't need it. Oh, we actually need 4 more intelligence. My mistake. So you need 64 intelligence for this build. It's you probably want to pick up some dexterity as well. So again, our body armor is just life, resistance, chaos, res. I got some 2 to 4 physical damage to attacks on the gloves. You probably don't need that. But again, 62 life, fire resistance. We got some life, we got some cold res, got some move speed on the boots, and that's it. Like even the rings are amethyst rings, but it's just 54 life, 34 lightning resistance. And most of these are really, really easy to make, especially if you're doing a little bit of harvest on the side. You can just pick up any amethyst ring and then either chaos reforge it to get chaos resistance, or you can, lightning reforge it to get lightning resistance. You've got a lot of options and it's really easy. And the belt has just got crafted cold and fire resistance on it. It's pretty terrible. So then we get into mid maps, and if I put the compare on again, then we can see all of the red stuff is stuff that we've taken. So here we got another jewel socket, and again, this is completely a flex slot. You can put whatever you want in here. I figured out you can actually put a Unnatural Instinct in here if you wanted to just take all of these nodes. Pretty useful. But we got aggressive bastion, so we're just getting increased chance to block attack damage while holding a shield. Block chance down here going as the mountain. Lots and lots of block chance while holding a shield, and a little bit of damage as well from all of the nodes we're taking. And now we're taking Versatile Combatant, and Versatile Combatant is -10 to max chance to block for attack and spell damage, but then +2 chance to block spell damage for each 1% overcapped chance to block attack damage. So if we have, and our maximum block chance for attack damage I think is 90, but if we take this, then it comes down a bit. But because we have so much chance to block, then we get all this spell block chance. And for the Gladiator, we're taking Determined Survivor for our second lab, and then More Than Skill for our third. And More Than Skill gives us Lucky Block, which is insanely good. It's so overpowered. Like if you see the tooltip saying removing this would remove 70% of our effective hit pool, which is crazy. But Lucky Block is really good. This is Lucky Block if you've blocked recently, but we're blocking all the time. So this is what you want to be taking in mid maps, and also you want to, by the time you're in mid maps, you're probably, I've got this pegged at level 84. You're going to have done Uber Lab at this point, hopefully, and you take Bleeding You Inflict is Aggravated. Now, you can take Aggravated Bleed, because Aggravated Bleed is really strong. It's like 3 times or something the damage. Is crazy. But if you take it as your second lab, you can do it, but then you're going to have to unspec it so you can get the Lucky Block, because the Lucky Block it keeps you alive so well. If you're new to the game, I would suggest you just take these. And if you're not, then you can do this, and maybe you just keep it and you do Uber Lab really early. Maybe you do it like level 70 or something like that. But Aggravated Bleed is very strong, but these points cost 5 regrets each. And I didn't want to include something where you have to unspec the Ascendancy stuff, because it feels pretty bad to lose like this ridiculous amount of damage to get the block. But it is very, very strong. So I frequently find if I'm doing just if I'm just trying to do a campaign practice run, then I will take Aggravated Bleed, because I know I'm not going to be going into maps. But if I, on League launch, I'm going to be probably taking Determined Survivor and More Than Skill first before I take Aggravated Bleed. Anyway, so this is the difference between those trees. We're basically getting extra block, bigger effective hit pool. Our effective hit pool now is 200k. Very, very nice. And then the skills, nothing has changed. The items, I don't think anything has changed here either. And then I've got finally a late maps version here, and if we compare that to mid, then you can see we get an extra endurance charge, which is really nice. You could probably take this earlier as well if you wanted. And then up here, we're coming over to this Vanquisher wheel here, which gives us a lot of physical damage over time multiplier. Then we got 10% more maximum physical attack damage, which is very, very nice. And we're also taking Nomadic Teachings, which is another +2 to maximum elemental resistances. And if I make sure that we're using the loadout rather than just the tree, you can now see our effective hit pool is 380,000. So it's really, really strong. And the damage is very respectable. If you had, this is level 96. And again, there's lots and lots of flex spots here. So maybe you're not feeling the frenzy charges, or you don't want this endurance charge. But there's another, there's another dual socket over here that you can get. There's intelligence and dexterity nodes here that you can take as well for whenever, if you want to just make sure you've got like a little bit of leeway when gearing. The cloth and chain, you can take these off if you have like just crazy amounts of resistances as well. And if you don't have, there's another node here you can take for another +4. So this is also fairly useful too. Later on, you can also, if you have a lot of dexterity stuff, you can also take converts all evasion rating to armor. This is pretty decent. And I think there's is it this one? No, it's not Call to Arms. There's another keystone around here somewhere as well that's also pretty useful. But this is what it looks like when you get to sort of level 96. My build right now, and again, there's so many flex spots in this. It's absolutely insane. There's so many like options you can take. Mine has been just blasting through all of the stuff we've been trying to do. See, this map was 2 minutes to go kill the boss, the T16 boss. We're level 89. We've got a decent amount of XP, and we've still got 2 passive points available. And there's a few things that I've got on here that aren't in the build, but it's because I'm still playing around with it. But this seems to be what our League starter is going to be. So, Bandits, kill a Lyra. Just makes it easier to gear. It's 15% all res. It's super easy. And Pantheon, Brian King, and then I take, usually I take Tukohama because it's fizz damage reduction, which is nice. We're stationary when we're using Blood and Sand, and when we're using Bladestorm, and we generate 2% of life per second while stationary. Very nice. So it means that, whilst we're doing our attacks, we've got a crazy good amount of regen. Anyway, that's basically the build. It's fantastic. There's going to be a link in the description below. If you want to see the build in action, come and check us out on twitch.tv/lifewithoutpants. We're testing it pretty much every day. We're going through strats like nobody's business at the moment because we're trying to figure out what we're going to do. We were going to do something, and then it got deleted in the patch notes. So whilst the build didn't get touched, our strat got removed. So this is it. It's, you know, it's a one div build. It's really good. But yeah, that's it from me. I hope you enjoy this. Let me know if you try it out, and check out the links in the description so you can find all the other resources. Check the notes and upgrade your axe. And with that, I hope you're kind to everyone you meet. I love you all very much, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.